Greetings, welcome to my channel again, Ethan Talks. I'm your host, Ethan. I changed my channel name because I figured out it was too long and hard to find it on the YouTube search bar. So, one of my best friends, Karis, and me talked to each other on the phone the other day and came up with the ideas of channels' names. There were lots of them, but Ethan Talks was very simple and impressive to me. I hope you guys like this channel name. Again, I forgot to introduce myself, but again, I got a great chance to invite a guest today. One of my best friends, our batch, Robert. So today, we are just gonna go ahead in English since we are both comfortable with English. And I have to let you know that he is very fluent in Korean, but we never talk to each other in Korean. So it's kind of weird, but maybe we tried sometimes before. I'm not sure. Anyway, let me introduce today's guest, my friend Robert. Welcome to my channel, Robert.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm very glad to be at your channel.
It's my pleasure, Robert. So could you introduce yourself a little bit, please?
Sure. So my name is Robert. So that's obviously my English name. I am originally from Uzbekistan. I don't know if a lot of your channel listeners will know about this country, but it's a country that is located in Central Asia. It's a post Soviet Union country, if that helps for people to understand where exactly it is. I did study with my friend here, Ethan, at State University of New York in Korea. I got my bachelor's and master's degree in the major of technological systems management. Again, that's a long name, but
Right.
basically what it is combination of computer science and business major, so to speak. So after I finished my studies, I decided to stay in Korea longer. I got a chance to work at different companies, different organizations. Currently, I'm an IT teacher at an international school. I teach middle and high school students. I also teach advanced placement degree classes. So that's like introductory classes to college level computer science. So that's a bit about me right there.
Yeah, you have lots of experiences, right?
So yeah, I would say I graduated in 2018. So it's been about 4 years now, and those 4 years I spent really trying myself out at different companies through experience in internship, full-time positions also, and I would say the positions I was in varied from anything from marketing, HR, to IT, to programming, and all these different areas. I would say.
Right. So how long has it been since we met together?
Very long, right?
It was like
At least 6 years, I would say.
6 years, right? In
Yeah.
2016 on
Yeah.
campus, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I was looking for a foreign friend, right? Foreign friends on campus, and
Yeah.
then Professor Joanna, right?
Yeah.
Joanna
Yeah. She
introduced
was. She was.
you to me.
Right. She was IC teacher.
It's ICT teacher, right?
IC teacher, and she texted me up one day. She was saying,
Right.
"There's a guy who wants to learn English and who wants to hang out with the foreigners. Why don't you hang out with him?" And yeah,
It was only
that was it.
me.
Yeah, that was only you at the time.
Ah, I see.
Right.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm. And then after that, I met Karis, or it was you first.
So me and Karis were like basically 1 plus 1 deal,
Yeah, it
so
was
to
almost
speak.
all the time
Yeah.
same.
Well, that the reason it was like that is because we were taking the same classes.
Right.
We had the same schedule, and right. So once I got introduced to you by Joanna teacher, I also
Yeah.
brought along Karis, and I said, hey, he wants to learn English too. So
Yeah.
let's
After
let's
that,
hang
we,
out with
we
him.
hung out together and all the
Yeah,
time, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
All right. So this is interesting topic. So Robert, we're gonna talk about languages today, but especially English, right?
Right.
Oh, so since my channel is in English, so I want to talk about English itself today. So let's go directly to the big one. What is the best way to learn English, Robert? You can speak Korean, Russian, English, and what else? What languages you can speak?
So fully being able to speak languages, I would count at five.
Five.
Right. So the three languages that I grew up speaking are Uzbek, Kyrgyz, and Russian.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just happens to be um, the unique position that I was in growing up in Uzbekistan, but being originally from Kyrgyzstan, that my parents are. And so at home we were speaking Kyrgyz language. Outside I was speaking Uzbek language, and then the school that I was going to was completely in Russian language. So I had this a really good chance of speaking three languages at the same time. And then after that, I decided upon learning English language. After I came to Korea, again, I decided to pick up on Korean language at the moment. So those are the languages that I am comfortable enough to say that I am fluent in. So I had a time when I was trying to learn Spanish language too, but I would say that is a bit of a pause right now.
You're really talented, huh?
I like to learn languages.
You just
I like to learn languages.
learn languages. Huh?
Right, right. Yeah.
All right. So, but which language is most comfortable for you?
At the moment, I would say English is the
English,
most.
and then Korean maybe.
So, Korean, Russian, yeah, I
You
would
speak
say.
Korean fluently.
Korean, yes, but I think there are still parts that I should catch up with.
A little bit practice more.
Yeah, practice more, learn more vocabulary, be able to express myself in a variety of ways. Right now, the way that I can express is a little bit limited, I would say, but I can understand and I can get my point across.
But right now, currently, you are exposed to Korean environment right now, so
Yes,
there's no problem about that. I think.
yes, I would say so.
Okay, so I want to divide into four areas. So if you want to talk about like these four areas, so there are four parts: listening and speaking, reading and writing, right? So let's talk about this.
Okay.
First of all, listening.
So, okay, so if you want to break down the language into these four parts, of course, yeah, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, those will be the main. And so you want to know how to improve each
Right.
part individually, right? So one thing I can say for sure is that the basis behind these four parts of a language is vocabulary, right? You need to know the words to be able to listen to them. You need to know the words to be able to speak them. You need to know the words to be able to read them and then write them. So that I would put at the top of the priority list, right? You need to learn the words and you need to be able to practice them every day. And the practicing part is actually comes down to these four areas. Once you've learned the word, you need to listen to as much of English materials that the word will be coming up and then reminding you of itself, right? So listening to music, watching a lot of videos, watching a lot of movies, sitcoms. Right now, the Netflix is very popular everywhere, and there are tons of materials on Netflix, right? You can just click on the subtitles. Now that you have clicked on subtitles, not only that
Right,
you are
right.
listening to these words, but you're reading them simultaneously. So I would say that is the best part.
And then what about pop songs?
Pop songs, yeah, absolutely. But pop songs, I would be very careful because a lot of songs these days they don't use the standard English.
Right.
They use a bit of obscure expressions. They would use, even for me, like having spoken English for such a long time, I do not fully understand all of the lyrics in the pop songs.
You have to be careful about picking up some pop
Exactly,
songs, right?
exactly. You have to really watch out for the kind of expressions that you're learning because it may come up in the pop song, but then when you go out and try to use those expressions, people may not really understand you. However, I will say one thing. When I was learning English from the very beginning, I was really intrigued by the songs of Eminem. And that is more of an advanced stuff. Of course, as a beginner, I will not recommend to like a beginner learner to go ahead and try to memorize the song from Eminem. No, but I would put it to somebody who is more at the advanced level and who wants to, and those people who want to be able to speak much faster, right? Improve their pronunciation. I would probably recommend Eminem songs because he's very
Diction and some kind of lyrics are very clear, right?
yes, so he's lexically rich. He uses a lot of different words, but he's also very quick to pronounce and quick to, really practice your pronunciation.
Right.
So that's something that I can recommend. So when it comes to speaking,
Yeah,
speaking
this is very important part.
is another important part. Like if you go around in Korea, for example, and you try to talk to people in English, a lot of people have really good listening skills.
And
right?
then reading or
Reading,
like
listening,
checking up some problems, right?
exactly. But they're not good at speaking. Why? Because to be able to speak, not only you need people to speak to, but also you need courage to be able to make mistakes.
Right,
I
right,
think
right.
you can also mention it later in this podcast about the importance of not being afraid to make a mistake. And this is probably a cultural thing also, right? Some cultures, making a mistake is really frowned upon, and you can be ostracized by others if you are making too many mistakes. But when learning a language, once you make a mistake, that mistake will stick with you for the rest of your life.
Right.
Not the parts that you've gotten correctly, but you will actually remember the parts that you were making a mistake. When it comes to reading and writing, I think this one is a bit simpler part because this is something you can do by yourself, sitting in your room, in your comfort zone. You can read a lot of books. You can write a lot of personal stories, essays. I strongly encourage people to start writing essays as early as possible because essay not only makes you use the English words, but also it will train you to think independently and create new things, right? And this is extremely important in not only just learning English, but becoming more creative. So those four, I would say, is how you can practice your listening, speaking, and reading and writing skills.
I see. The reason why I divided into these four areas are because these four areas are tested by lots of tests, right? Or TOEFL or
Yes,
some kind
yes,
of TOEIC.
exactly.
Maybe TOEIC.
TOEIC also has like 3 parts. I don't think they have speaking part, but they
But
have
TOEIC
the.
had like TOEIC speaking right now.
Oh, they do.
I think so. Maybe.
Probably
don't
they
know.
added it, but
Right.
before they did not have speaking part. Otherwise, not a lot of people would be able to score high, but then be really bad at speaking in the end.
So I want to talk about speaking more because, like, I think Koreans they don't have more chances than other countries because, like, they're afraid of speaking to other people in English, right?
Right.
So they're afraid of making mistakes a lot, right?
Right.
And then even though they know lots of vocabulary and then they know some expressions in their mind, but they don't spit it out.
Okay.
So they don't use it. So it's just like in their brain and in their minds, but they don't spit it out. It's just useless. So I just want to say don't be afraid of making any mistakes, and it's okay. And then
Right.
from that we learn it. So for sure we need to have some time to input some vocabulary or expressions or idioms to output.
Right.
But if you don't use it in the real world, it's useless, right?
Right.
Well, so what about in your case, like when you have to be fluent or you have some stages, right?
Right.
You
Right.
went through some stages
Right.
to be fluent in speaking area, right?
Right. Right.
What about in your case?
So I think we have to emphasize what you have just mentioned about not being afraid of making any mistakes, right? And another point that you made, which I really liked, is that how in Korea people do not take advantage of this opportunity to talk to other people, right? I mean, here in Korea, there are foreigners everywhere. So from the perspective of English learner,
Mm-hmm.
the you actually have a lot of chances. You can just come up to any foreigner and start speaking to them in English. I think 99.9% of those people will actually like you
Mm-hmm.
because they're here to explore Korea and they're really open minded. A lot of these people that are out here.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when you talk with them and when you try to show that you're trying to practice your English, they will be more than happy to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In my case, it was completely different. I grew up in the area where there were not many foreigners, right? And when we actually saw a foreigner, we would end up running up to them from really far away and try to say as much as possible in English for the short amount of time that we had with them.
Right.
So that was like completely two different parts of the story, right? Two different parts. When I had very little chance, but I was still trying to take advantage of every single foreigner that I saw and just spit out as much of English that I was able to within that short period of time. So here you have more chance. There are a lot of foreigners. There are a lot of people that you can talk to. But another unconventional advice that I can give that I was using myself at the early stages of learning English. Of course, you may be a very shy person, right? You may be a person who doesn't go out a lot, who has very few...
Introverted person.
Exactly. Who don't have a lot of people to talk to. One thing you can do is actually speak to yourself in English.
Right.
Right. Like just come up with any topic or just, at any point in your life, you could be just completely by yourself in your room or anywhere or taking a walk. What you can do is just, with a quiet voice, just start talking to yourself. And this is completely normal. And I would say this is absolutely essential when you're learning a language. Just talk to yourself, imagine that you are, I don't know, conducting an interview with yourself or just you could imagine any kind of scenario. You just imagine yourself as a movie actor, whatever the movie that is your favorite, and go ahead and imagine yourself to be Tony Stark or Iron Man,
Like
or
the protagonist, right?
Exactly, right? And just go ahead and talk. So that will be very interesting, and that will be very, very actually fun to speak and to learn a new language, and that will come extremely, extremely useful. It will be actually quite useful than a lot of people might imagine, and yeah, I will absolutely recommend that.
Or you're watching like TV or dramas or some kind of other YouTube's, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then like shadowing, huh?
Yeah. Shadowing is another part that a lot of people might forget about. Um, I used to do shadowing a lot too. There was this movie, The Social Network, and the main actor it's his name is Mark Zuck. Wait,
Mark Zuckerberg?
the Mark Zuckerberg, but then the actor named Jesse Eisenberg.
Eisenberg, right.
His English was extremely fast, right? He used to speak English extremely fast. So I used to shadow him a lot, just because I really wanted to learn speak as quickly as I can, which is not very advisable because you don't learn English to understand, but you learn English to be understood. So try to speak quickly may help you at some point, but then if people don't understand you when you're speaking too fast, then it doesn't really serve the purpose. So the whole point of this is that when you're watching a movie, when you have your favorite actor, you can go ahead and start shadowing them. You can put on the movie, watch it several times, almost memorize every single line, and then you put on it again, and then you will just follow up and shadow it. So I think that will be extremely helpful too.
By the way, you don't need to be fast at the beginning, right?
Of course,
Like
of course.
you just need to be clear
Yes.
when you start shadowing.
Right. Absolutely. So you can actually even slow down the movie or just speak the part that you are able to speak. It may not be 100% accurate, but as long as it's at least half as accurate, then it's serving you very, very well.
So I want to say, language and English is alive And so for communication, so you talk to each other, and so from that you feel it is alive, right?
Right, right,
So you practice and you use it, and from that you can achieve something, right?
right.
Okay, so there are some more questions out there on the net that some students are struggling with. So I'll copy some of them. If you have some good ideas, Robert, let the
Mm-hmm.
audience know the
Sure,
tips. Okay,
sure.
two more questions. So students are asking about these questions. How can I improve my fluency? And then, how can I expand my vocabulary? There are two questions more.
Okay, so those are, I would say, a little bit of advanced questions that
Mm-hmm.
student can have. At the beginning, you don't really worry too much about your fluency or about your vocabulary. These are only questions that you end up asking yourself as you progress along.
Right after that, you know listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and
Exactly.
then you want to advance your level about the fluency and the vocabulary, right?
Exactly. Right. Right. This is the part that okay, I'm gonna approach it in two ways. First way I will say is that do some of the stuff that we have already mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
right? Watch a lot of movies, do a lot of shadowing, and on top of that, what I can add is that start recording your own voice.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and record your voice on your phone. You could be reading something, you could be just speaking out your thoughts on any particular issue. You can read a newspaper, you can read a book, and then listen to yourself back over and over again. Try to think about the part that you could have pronounced it more accurately,
Mm-hmm.
the part where you had some minor issues, I would say, right? Because at this point, you wouldn't have a big issues in trying to pronounce any kind of word.
Right.
So you're having only minor issues, and one thing you can do, you can record yourself, listen to the parts where you could have done a little bit better. Um, the second way that I can approach it, this comes from the experience of teaching at an international school. I've known many students so far, and some of them have really good command of English, right? Some of them are actually, I would say, they've never been outside of Korea, but then their level of English is very high.
Almost
Um,
like a native speaker.
exactly, almost like a native speaker. And common pattern that I notice with these people is that they have some kind of interest in their own life
Right.
that they can connect with English language. One simple example I can give is gaming. If a person is really interested in gaming, one thing they can do is they can turn everything on about inside the game to English language. So instead of using Korean language inside the game, they can change the language settings into English. So they will be actively engaged in an activity they are interested in. But at the same time, they'll be exposing themselves and increasing their level of experience in English language environment. So if you do that, then it will be even much more easier for you to improve your fluency or improve your English in general. Because now you have something in common
Mm-hmm.
that you're not just learning English, but you're having fun.
Right.
If you are having fun doing the activity
Mm-hmm.
that you are enjoying,
Mm.
then it will improve your fluency dramatically.
Interest is more important, right?
Yes, exactly. So the second question that you asked me is
Yeah. How
how
can I
you can
expand my
expand
vocabulary?
vocabulary. This is the part that I think a lot of people will need a little bit of research.
I
So
think they're just memorizing vocabulary from the textbook right
yes,
now. That
yes.
is the like common way.
Okay, yes,
But I
yes.
think that's like hmm, conventional way.
Yeah,
It's better
I would
conventional
say,
way.
I would say.
It's, it's appropriate for testing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But for expand your vocabulary, I think you have to use a lot.
So I agree with you, right? In both cases, a lot of people they just try to learn the words just to be able to pass an exam. But if you are learning English, right, passing an exam should not be your goal. You're
Right.
learning English for yourself, and you'll be using this language for the rest of your life.
Mm.
This is the way that I would try to think about learning any language. Because if you just learn it to pass an exam,
Mm.
um,
After you
then
pass
you
the
will
exam,
forget
then you
everything.
forget everything.
And this is not helpful,
Mm.
honestly. We should not be living our lives just to pass an exam and be over with it, right? So it's just my personal opinion on this,
Mm.
but of course, in the case of the listeners, people might have different purposes. For some people, it may be just pass an exam, get something done, and then be over with the English language. But in the world that we're living in, you probably will need English for a very long time. You know,
Mm.
it's we live in a globalized society,
Mm.
right? You watch movies, you listen to songs,
Read
you
newspaper.
read newspaper, you
Mm.
meet
Don't lose
foreigners.
your interest in English.
Exactly,
Mm.
English will stick
That's the
with
most
you
important part.
for the rest of your life. Like you don't learn how to ride a bicycle just to
Mm.
go from point A to point B and then forget about it, right? Once you learn how to ride a bicycle, this is something that will stay with you for the rest of your life.
Right,
And
right,
the
right.
same I would say it comes down to English. You know, it's something that you will acquire, and then this will only help you.
I want to say like stay and live with English all the way with your
Exactly,
life.
exactly,
And enjoy.
exactly. You don't have
Feel
to.
the interest.
You don't have to be outside of Korea. You can live your entire life in Korea and really take advantage of your English knowledge.
Mm.
So, again, coming back to a point where I was saying that you need to do research to expand your vocabulary, is that what kind of learner are you?
Mm.
How do you remember things easily?
Mhm.
That's something that I would ask myself.
Mm.
Some people they remember things if they hear it over and over again.
Mm.
Some people remember things if they write it over and over again, right? Some people, if they touch something, they will remember the touch feeling of that particular object, right? So depending on that, if you are more of visual learner, then you have to write all these words that you are trying to memorize on your notebook, and then read them over and over again. If you are more of so there is a word called auditory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you remember audios much better, so it's something that you listen to over and over again, right?
Right.
Then that's exactly what you should do. But in my experience, writing down and then coming back to your notes is extremely important. So one thing I can say is like write a lot, and then try to come back to your notes over and over again if you want to expand your vocabulary.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, you remember back in like 2016, right? I was like very introverted, and I'm still introverted person,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I wasn't talkative at that time, and then the difference between other people was like I was trying to hang out with foreign friends
Yes.
on campus, right?
Yes,
That was
yes.
the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so that's that part for me. I didn't have any Korean friends on campus, so but apart from that, I had lots of foreign friends, and then I had lots of chances for me to hang out with foreign friends, and then that's a really great chance for me to improve my English skills, right?
Right.
So
right.
after that, I hung out with you guys, and then I could improve my English skills, and then I could speak like English like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember
Right.
that right now?
Yeah, exactly.
How was me like that at the time?
So I
I
think
could understand you guys, but I couldn't talk too much to you guys.
well, you were still trying, and
Well,
you were
yeah, I
still
was
expressing
trying to.
yourself to the best of your abilities,
Mhm.
and that's something that I think that really helped you. And this is another part that we can actually say to people that are listening to this podcast. When you are learning English, try to set why exactly you are trying to learn it, right? And if
It's okay.
so,
It's so natural.
okay, yeah.
We're recording our podcast at
And we have
Robert's
our-
house, so
yes, I don't know what the announcement is, but this is really bad timing. But anyways, hopefully it will not be as loud as it might be. But I think having a clear purpose about why exactly you're learning English, and then realizing it, the fact that you will be using your English for the rest of your life, it could become a really good motivator, right? If you have a good motivation to
Right.
learn English, then no matter what kind of state you are at a particular point, maybe your English is not as good, or maybe you need more practice, then um, it's just it will keep on increasing, it will keep on improving every day that you'll be actually working on it. So I think that's something that you had clear in your mind at the very beginning. You actually wanted to learn English and you wanted to become really really good at English.
Right.
So that I think really helped you.
And as I told you, Robert, if you enjoy it and then if you have willpower and then intention, and then what was the last part?
Clear purpose.
Clear purpose and then effort.
Yes.
If you got it, then you almost done it.
Yes.
So you can improve your English very
Yes.
much.
Yes. I
So
agree.
that was our story about back in 2016
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I could improve
Exactly.
my English skills like that. And
Yeah.
then I am proceeding my English program, Ethan Talks, right now. So, so we have been talking about English as a topic and how to improve English,
Right.
uh,
Right.
listening, speaking, reading, writing, and then improve our fluency and how to expand our vocabulary.
Right.
We talked about this so far.
So let's touch upon one more topic that we had talked before, but
Uh huh.
is not in the list. I think
Okay.
is how a relationship can improve or not improve your language skills.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is something that I've been really exposed to from the very beginning, right? A lot of Korean people that I was talking to, they would say, "Oh, I need to improve my English, or I need to learn English, and therefore I need to date a foreigner."
Ah.
It's not. It's completely two different things. It's something they don't understand, and unfortunately, a
On
lot of
purpose, you
people.
mean?
Well, it could be on purpose, it could be not, but the idea that if you date a foreigner,
Mm-hmm.
right, your
Ah.
English
Okay. Okay. Okay.
becomes better.
Mm.
I I would say not always.
Mm.
There might be cases where some people were fortunate enough to
Mm.
really speak in that language and practice their language skills at the same time
Mm.
when they are actually, improving their relationship.
If he or she wants to be comfortable with he or her, she or her partner.
Yes, yes. But I would say
His
there
or
is
her
always a limit, right? Let's say, let's talk about the first example where there were some of my friends who were not so good at Korean language. We're gonna talk about Korean language learning, but I think this will be relevant to those who want to learn English language too. So those people who were trying to learn Korean language and they thought that okay, if I date a Korean girl, then my language skills will dramatically improve.
Mm.
That was not the case, right? Their Korean language did not actually improve. Why? Because when people are in a relationship, they will try to be as comfortable as possible, and that's something that you want to be at. Relationship is not made for challenges, at least not always. There
It's not
might be
always
exceptions. Yes, there might be exceptions, but if we talk about in general terms, if we look at the total demographic and the majority, I would say over 90% of people, they want to stay comfortable. They don't want to challenge themselves all the time. They don't want to go through the trouble of teaching their boyfriend or girlfriend every single day. You might teach them like few times.
They avoid challenge, right?
Exactly. And this is completely normal for a relationship. And in terms of learning a language, this actually does not help. So don't try to think that okay, if you date someone, then your language abilities will dramatically increase. That I think you can go ahead and look at the studies. Studies will probably confirm a lot of things that I'm saying right now because I've done my small study, looking at the friends and acquaintances that I have, and how their language skills did not actually improve through the relationship. So thinking about getting into a relationship with the person who speaks the language, and predicting that your language skills will improve is actually not true. It's not correct. It's completely wrong. So that's something that I think we should make it clear for everyone who is listening to this podcast. Keep your business and your relationship separate. And of course, by business, I could be meaning the English language, because English language is something that is serious, more or less. It's something that you want to learn for yourself, and thinking that, okay, if you mix one with the other, that it will help you, I would say not really. Right.
Okay. So we have been talking about English for today's topic,
Right.
and then, so you wanna talk about something more at last?
Sure. Yeah. Anything. Any questions you might have? Um, I hope that you guys had a lot of fun listening to this podcast. This was just me and Ethan just sharing our ideas
Yeah.
about how people can learn their how people can improve their language skills.
Yeah,
right?
since
Of
my
course.
channel is in English, and then
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
hope like my listeners are
Exactly.
hope they can improve their English
Yeah.
much better
Yeah.
than
Exactly. So.
right now.
It's interesting that we're both speaking English right now, and
Mhm.
we're actually recording a podcast, but
Mhm.
we're not native speakers. We both learned English through the experience,
Yeah,
right? The
English is not our mother tongue.
Exactly, exactly. And it's kind of interesting, right? The fact that English is something that is connecting us too. Me coming from Uzbekistan, you
Right.
being born and raised in Korea.
Interestingly, we both feel comfortable in
Exactly,
English.
exactly. In fact, I can say that English right now is the most comfortable language for me to speak in.
And also, we can speak Korean both, but
Yeah,
we feel weird,
yeah, but we
right?
stick to English. Exactly. I think from the very beginning that we started
Right.
just speaking in English, we've become so accustomed to speaking in it, and yeah. So, to everyone who's listening to this podcast, I hope you guys found at least half of what we said to come useful for your journey in learning English language. And then again, like we've focused only in English language, but I think all these principles apply for any kind of language that you'll be learning. And learning a language, I think, is extremely joyful experience.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that you're acquiring new language, but you're learning about a different culture. You're learning about different people, and you're learning about different way of thinking and expressing yourself. So I will 100% recommend for everyone to learn a language in their free time to expand their thinking, and hopefully this podcast came useful at your journey.
Thank you for your cheerful mention. So far we have been talking about English,
Right.
how to improve our English skills,
Right.
and then yep, that's it for today. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you for tuning into my channel today, and thank you very much, Robert.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys, listeners.